So a lot of times I get asked which is better to use in the classroom, Seesaw or Google Classroom. And my answer to that is really why limit yourself? You can use both. So when I put Seesaw and Google Classroom side by side, at first it seems like a legitimate question because they do have a lot of the same features. They both have built-in grading features. They both, if you're using the Seesaw for Schools, you can schedule assignments, and then you can schedule assignments in the classroom. Both platforms allow for student commenting. They allow for teachers to provide both public feedback and private feedback to students. Uh, both applications allow you to assign activities to multiple classrooms. They both allow you to have multiple classrooms in the first place. And then vice versa, I can take one activity and assign it to just selected students. And I can also have multiple teachers work as an administrator in a single classroom. So when you first start looking at both of these apps and their similarities, I can understand the question, why use both when I can just choose one or the other to do all of these things and then only have to deal with one platform instead of two? It's when you start looking at their differences that you start to see that each application's weakness can be paired with the other to kind of make up for it. So if I scroll down a little bit, we'll start looking at the advantages that Seesaw has over Google Classroom. So Seesaw, you see, has in-app voice commenting. So again, if I have somebody that's struggling with English, either because they're a non-reader or because they're an ESL student, I can provide those voice comments. Seesaw allows for family commenting, and this is kind of the big one. Google Classroom does provide the family newsletter that gives families either daily or weekly updates, but the parents can't actually see the work in Google Classroom unless they're logging in with the student's credentials. So this is probably the biggest advantage that Seesaw has over Google Classroom. Families can actually see the work that students are doing. They can comment on it. Seesaw also has the inbox where teachers, students, and families can all communicate right there in the app. They don't have to go outside to email to do that. Uh, in that same way, because families can see all the work, Seesaw works as a portfolio, it works as your evidence. You don't have to keep a backup grade book because everybody can see the work, they can see the evidence right there. In Seesaw, you can set assignments to sort student evidence by using folders, whereas in Google Classroom, it's a little more complicated. You can sort their assignments in the feed, but once you hop over to the gradebook, you can't really sort things in the gradebook. You have to create separate classes to have separate gradebooks. So those are all the advantages Seesaw has. Then some people say, well, I'm just going to use Seesaw then. Why would I mess with Classroom then? Well, because of all the advantages that Classroom has that Seesaw doesn't. And the biggest of those is just the vast array of apps that G Suite for Education offers that integrate with the classroom. Seesaw is great. I can do a lot of things in Seesaw. I can't really write an essay in Seesaw. I don't have that word processing software. I can't make a spreadsheet in Seesaw. I can't take a quiz in Seesaw. Whereas Google Classroom has all those apps integrated. I can generate a doc quickly. I can generate a slideshow quickly. I can generate a spreadsheet. I can generate a form. Now, I can share those things with Seesaw. I can create one and share, but Google Classroom, not only is it going to integrate with all those apps, it has the option to make a copy of the file for each student. So if I build, say, an interactive notebook in slides, I can share the link to my interactive notebook on Seesaw, but I can't make a copy for each student. I'm going to have to assign that interactive notebook 25, 30 times, depending on how many students are in my class. In Google Classroom, I also have the ability to build rubrics. So Seesaw does have the skills feature, which allows me to assign 1, 2, 3, 4 stars to a skill, but I can't really break down that skill. I can't tell the student, well, this is why you're getting 1 star, this is why you're getting 2, this is why you're getting 3, this is why you're getting 4. In Google Classroom, I can build that rubric that tells students exactly, this is what you need to do to get a 4, this is what you need to do to get a 3. Kind of along with the apps, I can build quizzes within Google Classroom. Can't really build quizzes. Seesaw is more performance-based. So my answer to which should I use in my classroom, Seesaw or Classroom, there's my answer. Integrate both together, and then you've pretty much narrowed it down. You're using 2 apps, but then you've eliminated a lot of the other ones. I don't necessarily have to use Dojo anymore to communicate with parents. I don't have to use Remind. I don't have to use class tags. I can, by using these 2 apps together, I've pretty much eliminated any other learning management system that is out there. And so that way I'm not dealing with 4, 5, 6 different apps. 2 is still pretty manageable. So those are my comparisons. Take them as you will. As a teacher, you're probably going to use one as a primary and one as a secondary. So as a kindergarten teacher, I use Seesaw as a primary, but the other can still work as a backup. The other is there to use, so you can use those features that aren't in the primary app.